This blog's called Glimpses of Beauty. So I was with a patient earlier today, and as you've probably gathered if you've looked at my website and know anything about the way I work, I really like to work deeply with what's going on inside the patient, what's going on in the mental and emotional levels. And while I was taking the patient's pulse, it gives me an insight into what's going on inside. So on a technical level, as you take the pulse, it's not like in Western medicine where you count the beats, but actually different points on the wrist actually correspond to different organs. But while I'm actually taking the pulse, I often feel like I get a hit of what's happening emotionally within the patient. You know, because obviously for those moments while I'm holding the wrist, I'm actually connected to you or whoever else's pulse I'm taking. And I can feel, I can feel through my own body what's going on in the patient. And as I was taking his pulse, I could feel that deep inside there was like a seed of light that was starting to push through. So this patient's been suffering perhaps with a little bit of depression, and different mental and emotional discordance, shall we say. But I could feel as I was taking the pulse that within this rather cloudy sky, if you like, there was some sun, some rays of sun that was trying to push up through to be seen again. And it was really interesting that a little bit later on during the treatment, I asked the patient how he was feeling after I'd done one particular treatment part. And he said to me, while you were treating me then, I really felt inside myself some real glimpses of beauty. Like his internal experience, he could also feel something coming through that just felt really enriching and really beautiful. And it really reminds me of how sometimes we get into states of perception where we no longer realise that we're disconnected from a feeling, an internal feeling of wellness and light. It's a bit like, when the sun's obscured by the clouds. If it was like that every day, you just become acclimatised to it and you forget what it feels like for the sun to shine through. And there's a danger sometimes that we just get used to it. And because we feel so disconnected from that feeling, we can no longer almost remember that it's there until it gets rekindled inside us. And so I felt it when I took the patient's pulse. And then he also felt that during the treatment it was moving and he was becoming reconnected back to this source of light. So what I would put to you is just think for a moment, what is your internal state of perception like? Do you feel like a sense of lightness inside? Is the sun coming through? Or do you feel maybe like you've just become acclimatized to your internal state, not feeling good? And that's of course when we can get in this pattern where we start to tinker with lots of things around us in our life. But it's not really going to make much difference when your filter that you see the world through is so shrouded. And sometimes it doesn't take much. A few needles in the right place to help to rekindle and reconnect you to that sense of well-being that's emanating from inside. And then evidently that also illuminates what's going on around you, your sense of the circumstances of your life then also becomes much more enriched. So sometimes you need to clean the filter. So if that resonates with you, then that's great, and get yourself out there, get an acupuncture treatment, see how it feels. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.